Okay, so another day of dev videos and work and trying to slowly migrate our way to eventually getting to that 1A update. Now, for those who keep asking, yes, we will be updating to newer versions. No, it isn't happening right now, and just kind of bear with me and be patient until I can get enough time to actually begin that update and get you guys the newer versions. Keep in mind, when I eventually do update, it's going to take about 3 weeks of solid work to get VoltEngine and ICBM both updated and bug-free to 1.8. Once we do that, it'll probably take somewhere between a week to 2 weeks per additional version, depending on how much of a headache some of the code is going to be. I've already been told that trying to transition from 1.8 to 1.9 is going to be a bit of a headache for our map data, as Lim is having a bit of an issue with his, and that means we may have a bit of issues with ours. So it's rather unfortunate. I have been considering just ditching those features if that does become a problem, as we're not too heavily reliant on them, and I can find some other way to make that content work. Anyways, today we're going to really quickly check on some features here, and we're going to do some polishing work right now, and then hopefully we'll get back into working on the blast code and some other stuff. The main goals right now is I got a bit of some freelancing contracts to finish up today, so I got to go and clean up my sentry guns, clean up that generator I made, check everything else out, add some recipes real quick, and then when we're done with that, then we can go and polish ICBM, as there's quite a few bugs that have been reported for ICBM again, and they're mostly server side. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to test that, because recording why I'm running a server and a client, it eats up about all my CPU on this computer. So it's highly likely that we'll just kind of tiptoe on that one real quick, and I'll just figure out some way to test for the bugs without having to run the server. Going to be a bit tricky on that one. At least the bugs right now were mostly packet issues. They're things where the packets aren't quite synchronizing correctly, and they're not too difficult to handle. So we'll go ahead and we'll work on those, and we'll see what's going on. Yeah. And outside of that, I'm probably going to end up sometime either this week or next week spending a huge amount of time working on a class project, because I've got a write an Android application, and I've never written an Android application. Or let me phrase this: I've never written a proper Android application. I've written some mini games before for class projects, but those were you were given most of the work ahead of time, and all you had to do is fill in the blanks and then run the project. This time around, we're starting from the ground up. We got to do everything, and we got to make a website on top of that, which is going to be a bit interesting. Nope, myself a soda here. Maybe this will clear the stuff that's in my throat. Nope, that just made it worse. Yeah, every time I always record, I always get something stuck in the back of my throat, and I've never quite figured out what it is. Of course, it's phlegm or whatever you want to call it, but always seems to be the morning. It doesn't bother me later in the evenings, so I'll be sitting there playing some kind of game like MechWarrior Factorio, screaming at my teammates to do better, and not a single problem. Recording earlier in the morning, all the problems. Not saying I actually scream at my teammates in Factorio. I rarely scream at them in MechWarrior. The only time I ever scream at a teammate in MechWarrior is when they've shot me in the back repeatedly, or they've just done something that is blatantly retarded or stupid. It's rare though. I mean, pugs are not the most intelligent you'll ever find in games like MechWarrior. It's just like playing things like World of Tanks or Armored Warfare or Hawken. You always get players that are not quite skilled. It's the reason there's a difference between a pug and a veteran. I'm closer to a veteran. I'm not quite there yet. I still make common mistakes. So I'm not. I'm a little hypocritical when I say that. As me and my buddy Grogger, even though we're really good shots in the game, we still haven't quite figured out the teamwork part. Um, he's more than likely to shoot his teammates because they're being stupid than to try to work with them to teach them how to be less stupid. And it's kind of one of those mentalities that's kind of hurt the game as a whole, because a lot of the veterans are the same way. They don't really like to work with the pugs, although in order to get the pugs to stop being stupid, you got to work with them. Anyways, let's get working here. So we want to go through and we kind of want to test a little bit of everything today, because I got to go deliver this to a client here sometime tomorrow, and I want to make sure that things are working. So we got the C4 block. You can click it to link it, and then click it to trigger it, which is kind of nice. So that works. This is attachable on all sides. That should be fixed. Nah, I'm not gonna fix that. So it seems to be working. And we can link up to one of these and we can trigger them all. By the way, they chain react trigger, so it's not like they're all going off via one pull trigger. It's just they're going off because they're next to each other. We got a campfire. Yeah, that seems to be working. Let's shove some stuff in it. Eventually, we're going to get things like this in some of the other mods. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with the campfire. It's been on the list for about 4 years to make a campfire for Minecraft. I've kind of held off on it because there are other mods that have campfires, and it's not like it's a unique feature, and it's not like it's a really important one. But I kind of want to add one because it would be interesting to have a campfire where you can cook stuff over and you do things. And this one works. It's just basically a furnace that has some nice rendering to it. It's using the actual fire particle, so if somebody changes the fire texture, this will update. It's using just base logs. I actually have to update the model. I got a new model that actually fixes the logins there, but it's not too big of a deal. With a little bit of stone texturing. There is no UV maps for any of this stuff. This stuff is just raw textured. But because of its raw texturing, it actually is like a randomization almost to it, and it looks kind of nice. And it works. So we got cooking fire there, and if we pull the fuel out, it'll run out of a cycle, and then it should stop rendering. It's a little hard to see the logs through there. Actually, it looks like the logs did stop rendering, so that's okay. Now we're waiting for the fire to go out. Oh, well, the fire is going to continue. I'll work on that later. I'll add that to my my list of things to fix. Let's actually pop GitHub open, and we're going to start filling the issue tracker with any bugs we find, not only for this mod, but for ICBM. We're just kind of using this as a warm-up for the day, as I'm a little groggy from working all night on school projects and didn't quite sleep well again. Still got problems with my dogs got fleas, and unfortunately they jump off the dog and onto me, and they'll wake me up in the middle of the night because they bite almost as bad as horseflies. I'm in the wrong area. I need to go to my profile here. Ignoring my nice mugshot picture there. I took that last year basically when I was experimenting with attempting to groom my beard, and I did a horrible job, as you can probably tell from that few seconds it was on screen. Let me find the repository here. Oh man, I got way too many repositories. By the way, when people actually access my profile, they're like, "Oh, you don't have a lot of repositories." I actually do. They're just all hidden. You guys can't see almost any of them. Anyways, here's Wojujo's mod. I won't be showing you guys any of the code because he kind of wants that to be secret. But we'll make a new issue ticket here. Fire does not de-render when out of fuel. That's a really simple bug, and we'll toss it back over here. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's an easy one to fix. I won't fix it right away though. Let's check the rendering on these guys. These guys are working pretty good. I still got to fix the hitbox on that. So we'll do that. We'll put that up there. New issue. Fix render bounds on crafting table. Submit issue. I need to give my client access to this issue tracker so that way he can report these issues himself. These are things that he's actually noticed before that I have just yet to get around to fixing. But we're going to spend a bit of the day kind of working on this. So the generator is actually pretty well tested. We actually got fuel for this thing now. So actually we implemented fuel here a while ago. So let me go ahead and fill my hotbar with fuel. And then we're just going to shift click it up into there. And then we're going to shift click down. That looks good. We got fuel in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off so I don't consume my fuel while I'm setting up the next part of the test. Okay, so next thing in the test is of course the sentry guns. Now, one of the things the client was complaining about is these guys weren't doing enough damage. I actually spent some time and I fixed that. I didn't actually up the damage. What was happening is that you can only attack so many times a tick, and unfortunately it wasn't quite working out that way. And I believe this has a shift clicking problem. Yes, it does actually have a shift clicking problem. This is a ghost item, so you notice how I throw it and it's not there. I have to fix that in the sentry guns. It's using a prefab for the shift click. So what I've got to do is I got to go through and I got to fix the prefab, and it should work out fine. So these have no power, and without power they will not reload. So all you do is flick the power on. All of a sudden they have power. They're searching. They have reloaded now. If we flick the power off, they have no power again, so that's working perfectly fine. So we'll flip the power back on. Now it's giving some stuff to shoot at. One of the things I do want to work on today with the sentry guns is I need to work on on dust trails. So things that actually do look like they're bullet trails. Because right now we're just kind of shooting smoke particles out forward, and that looks okay, but not really. And then I need to make some target dummies too to test the DPS of the sentry guns. So that'll be something we'll work on. And then rotation accessing is something that also needs to be fixed. If I switch to a 180 and negative 180 system, it may actually improve that. Right now we're using a 360 system. So it's always going to determine that the distance going fully around is better than going the other direction. So that needs to be adjusted. That's a bug in the armory mod itself. Or actually, let me rephrase that. It's not a bug, it's a lack of functionality. A bug would assume something actually is wrong. It's working perfectly as intended, it just doesn't look that way. So these guys are working. I've been told they do have some accuracy issues at range, which doesn't make any sense to me because they should be pinpointed. That slime got wrecked. The sad thing is the death animation actually causes these guys to act like they're dying a little slower. So they're dying almost instantaneously because these guys spit out 20 bullets a second. So that's about, they can do 40 damage a second. But the death animation is almost a second or two long. So you notice how it takes a while to die, and then the next thing doesn't spawn until the death animation finishes. Although I really believe a slime shouldn't have a death animation. It should just break apart into chunks. The more you shoot it, should just descale in size. I may actually make a mod for this later, because this is something I've always complained about since I've started playing Minecraft 6 or 7 years ago. Is that I always wanted slimes to kind of have where chunks fell off of them. So as you shot them, they would just get smaller, and a chunk would pop off, and another chunk would pop off, and it would be a nice immersion mod to play with. I'll add that to my list here later, and maybe after I'm done with the update, I'll actually make that, because that'll be a nice little single blocks mod. But let's hit up on the sentry guns first today. So let's go ahead and fix those, since that's the biggest thing the client's been focusing on is the sentry guns and the guns. Actually, speaking of which, we didn't test the guns. Let's do that first, and then we'll get to it. So he's got the handgun, the rifle, and the rocket launcher. Now, unfortunately, the handgun and the rifle do not have models yet. I'm still waiting on Morton to do that stuff for me, and I don't know what's going on with that. He's told me he's got a new computer, so he's trying to get his stuff set up, but that was like a week ago, and yeah. Oh, this looks like it's working. It's exploding midair, though. I don't get why. Must be colliding with something over here. Seems to be working. Let's go shoot the sentry guns real quick with it. Oh, you know what it's exploding midair for? We're within range of the sentry guns and they're shooting at him. Let's walk over here real quick. We'll shoot into the crater of one of the nukes we set off earlier. Did I mention my video got flagged for that? I had a video where I was talking about the nukes and it got flagged for inappropriate for monetization by YouTube because of the word nuke in ICBM. This is a continuous problem I've been having with YouTube where they keep flagging my videos, and it's not their fault, it's their automated system. But they determine if you're talking about violent things, then therefore your video must be violent by default. And this seems to be working. Now, keep in mind, one of the things the client actually wants is that not to break cobblestone. He actually has a set range of blocks he wants to be destructible, and he wants to be able to configure those, so that's something that's going to be happening here later. I've actually started working on that code here, and probably have it done for him next week. So the rocket launcher is good. Animations work on it, so I can raise it, lower it. It won't fire while lowered. It'll only fire while raised. Reload time's not bad. 4 seconds is pretty good. And then renders well dropped. Renders well here. Can renders like that when. Okay, so that's all good. Handgun. Okay, not too. Wow, that's bad. That's like horrid. So yeah, we wanna. I'm not going to fix that because it's expected that there will be a 3D model for every gun, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. But let's get some handgun ammo for him. I believe these clips belong to his handgun. So we'll check that. Yep, they do. So let's check to make sure that these guys actually work. So we'll throw some slimes out. Put the gun back out, because you got to hold the gun for it to reload. And if you switch weapons, it will not reload. Not bad. I believe the gun does the same damage as sentry gun, so it does like 2 a shot. And we're out of ammo. Now, one of the things I do want to do is I want to add an ammo counter. I haven't quite figured out all the possibilities for it. I know I'm going to make it highly customizable because I know people who like shooter-style games are super finicky about their reticles, their ammo counters, what's on their screen, what's not on their screen, because it all matters to people who like to do the try-hard behaviors. So right now that looks good. I do also plan to do some auto-aiming logic down the road too. That'll be something that will be off by default. And it will only be turned on, only the server owner can turn it on. So the server owner can turn it on, and then it'll allow the client to decide if he wants to auto aim or not. And then the only thing auto aiming will end up doing is that it will try to put the reticle over the center of mass. It's not going to do headshot reticles. You will have to manually aim for headshots. I'm not going to give you freebies on that one. Anyways, so the handgun's working perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and work the clip over for the rifles. Now the rifle is just a bolt action rifle. We don't have a model that's really like that though, so probably might implement. I do have the models, I do not have the textures, and because I don't have the textures, I have not been implementing anything for the guns at all. And I keep poking at my modeler, and he just keeps blowing me off. And at this point, I'm about to go hire somebody. Huh? The rifle jammed. There we go. Oh, that's right, the rifle has a really long bolt action delay on it. This is where I need audio to tell you when the rifle finishes bolting so you know when it's ready. The models are supposed to reflect this, but unfortunately the models I do have are not anywhere close to having bolts or anything on them. You know what, I'm probably going to change the rate of bolting on this, and then let the client configure it. Although the client configure it anyways, so it's not like it's something I really need to worry about, but when you're getting paid, you always want to make sure you leave the best impression as possible. It's working pretty good. Now, he does want some scoping behavior on this. Right now, we don't have that even close to implemented. I've already told him that. That'll be something that'll just be added later. But his gun's working perfectly fine, so that's good. Now, the rest of these are not his guns, by the way, so that is the Armory's test gun. And that's another Armory test gun is the shotgun right there. We can actually load the shotgun up with like HE shells. By the way, the HE shell was made by Phil, so if you ever see him on Discord, give him a shout out. He does some pretty good work. He's been stepping in for Morton every so often and giving some textures without me asking, so he's just volunteering textures, and I'm really happy about that. I do need to work on the shotgun's behavior though, because it has a standard reload on it when it needs to have a per shell reload, and it needs to reload 1 shell at a time. That way you can stop mid-reload cycle and actually fire an attack with it. Right now it's got like I think a 40-second reload on it, which is really ridiculous when you think about it. Especially when you think of like in terms of Halo 1's shotgun, that was 12 shells in a second. I miss that game so much. The later games kind of nerfed that quite a bit, but okay, slime time. There we go. You can see the HE shells are still working. Oh man, I want to spend so much time working on the Armory mod here, but everybody wants updates on ICBM, and one of the things, a piece of content I actually do want to work on is I want to get some cannons, machine guns, artillery into Armory, because it's not meant to just be a gun mod, and we're out of ammo. I think make some drum clips for those. I'd like to get like an AA-12 shotgun going on here. Anyways, so we got that content tested. Let's go back to what I said we were going to do. We're going to test a sentry gun. And that would be the Armory mod. Content, sentry, sentry. Now the sentry is already abstracted away, so when I was talking about updates and stuff, I already designed the sentry to be completely independent from Minecraft code. Well, not completely. It actually still has things like axis aligned boundary box and entity target selector and stuff like that. So these need to be, it does need some work to get it finished off, but it's okay. It's actually doing really well. So we're going to do our rotation logic here. Now the rotation logic is entirely handled by the 2 Euler angle clamped to 360. So I got to figure out what part of our code is actually doing this. So we get our aim point. So we get is valid target, targeting delay, get aim point, is aimed. So is aimed is how we're actually handling it. So we go is within, and then we got aim at target. So okay, we got move towards, and the move towards is always going to rotate in one direction. So we got our aiming angle. So maybe we need to work with the move towards here. This is really, really simplistic. This does look like it already has the code built into it to do exactly what I want it to do. So we got our delta, so we got our amount of distance that we need to move, and we check our speed. So there is a snap angle here, so I do have it programmed so that way it won't keep trying to minimize on the rotation. It will actually snap to the rotation eventually. Then we got our desired angles here. So we've got desired minus yaw plus speed, and then we're trying to determine which direction is closer. And these are absolutes. So let's hit a point here. So what I want to test, let's break one of these guys, so we only have one. Okay, so right now we're pointing this way, and we want to see if he's going to rotate this way. So our targeting yaw, so our desired yaw is 153, we're at negative 81. So that's 224 away, and that's also 224, that's 44 away. This is where I kind of should go with a negative 180 and 180 system, is that we're getting a really weird behavior here. Because technically, yeah, we're at negative 81 yaw. This needs to actually be positive. So that's the problem right there. So this system probably works, but this system probably only works when stuff's positive. So what we need to do is when we set the aim, which we set up here, we need to clamp it to 360. And we do clamp it to 360. We have the center, to either aim point, clamp to 360, and we set it. So let's check clamp to 360 and see how it works. So we clamp the yaw, and we clamp it between 0 and negative. Okay. So rather than mess with this, we're going to come back up here and we're going to go dot clamp. Oh, there's only one clamp value here. What I can do is do this: aim.setYaw, aim.clamp. Why are these private methods? Okay, so we're going to restart Minecraft and I'm going to fix this. Actually, I'm just going to kill Minecraft. That'll work all the same. So we're going to make these public so I can access them, and I'm confused of why they're even in here to start with if they're both finaled anyways, because these could be moved to the math helper and reused. There's no reason for them to have been private either. And to be honest, they really just need to be static. Okay, so we're going to do clamp. And this will be Euler. Yeah, if I can spell. Clamp to 360. And then we want the value, and then we want the min-max. So we're going to go aim.yaw, then 0, and then 360. We're going to see if that will make a difference here. and see if that'll fix our rotation problem. And then as soon as we fix this, we're going to then work on smoke particles. So we're going to work on getting a nice bullet trail working. I should be able to just recycle some code here. More than likely, I can probably just grab the laser code and then change the texture on it and then change some animation and stuff for it. The thing is, I think it's how we made the original smoke trails in ICBM Classic for 1, 5, and 6. Is that I went and I copied the laser code and then I turned it into a smoke trail, which didn't take too long to do. But we'll play around with it. We'll see where we're going to go with it and get some stuff that looks kind of nice, I guess. I mean, we got a lot of things to do. Oh, wait. I just looked at my phone. I got to show you this. So I just got this cool scam email. I get these occasionally. But it means somebody's put my email in something that shouldn't have been put into. So it's like, hey, I got a business proposal for you. The amount is in 10 million US dollars. And they have to like 10,500,000. This is a abandoned amount in our bank here in our country for one of our dead customers far Iraq. Sure, there's legal and risk fee. I have concocted an arrangement of the bank up. Kindly indicate your interest as to enable me to tell you more details of the proposal. I want to toy with this person almost. But I know anytime I ever get something from Foxmail, it's usually almost always a scam. Because I've gotten emails from these kind of people before. But it's like, you're offering some random person $10 million from a country that is currently at war, that's completely unstable. It's definitely a scam. It's almost as bad as I got one yesterday. I deleted it. I should have kept it, show you guys. But somebody was attempting to scam me out of a couple $100 to get SEO optimization for my website. They had like all of my information. It's like, hey, you had a subscription through us for SEO optimization. I did not. I actually have never subscribed for SEO optimization, especially since my site can't use it because it's a flat normal site. And usually SEO optimization, you need backend software to actually make it work. And they're like, hey, your site's not going to show up on Google unless you pay us $75 a month, but you have to sign like a 2-year contract and do all this stuff. And they had like my last address, which I knew definitely means they didn't actually have my current information, as I went through and updated all my website information here. And I actually this is the reason why I put my information on my website behind a protection system. You can't actually get my information off of my website anymore. And I did this because I was having constant problems with people calling me trying to sell me products and stuff for my website. It was absolutely annoying. Anyways, let's sit here and watch the turret and see if we can get a bit of better improvement on the rotation. Oh hell, man, it just like murdered 2 slimes there as it was rotating. Didn't even stop to target. It seems to be doing better. Now, one of the things I also need to do with the AIs on these guys is improve them so they don't rotate as often. So the ideal is that you would have a turret that wouldn't be capable of rotating quickly. You don't want it to do a 360 to shoot at some target behind it. You want it to try to kill as many targets as possible as quickly as possible, which means you want it to rotate as less as possible. Of course, this is going to be a setting built into the sentry gun, so you'll be able to turn it on and off eventually. Right now, when it comes to the sentry gun, we have targeting settings, permission system, which isn't finished yet, upgrades, which aren't even implemented yet, and then this is where the settings would be. So you'll be able to tell it, okay, target with less health, target with most health, target with least armor, most armor, easiest to kill, hardest to kill, focus fire, and a whole bunch of other things will show up on this list under targeting. There'll be probably a better tab system, and the reality of it is I may actually build a bigger GUI for this because this is kind of small as hell. It is already pretty hard to get this fitting in here. By our way, our scroll bars are still not quite fixed. I gotta work. Actually, you know what? I think this scroll bar doesn't even use our scroll bar prefab. I think this is actually just a custom built scroll bar just for this GUI. And I probably should go implement our prefabs. That way this actually works correctly. So notice if I click up, it only moves once. And yeah, it doesn't look very good. So that's something that needs to be fixed. Ammo base still needs to be worked on too. I know that the ammo bays are customizable by size and they need a scroll bar, so does the battery. That'd be something I do need to implement and work on. That's not something definitely I'm not going to worry about right now. Anyways, okay, so he's pointing right there. So if we do this, yeah, he's working out pretty good. Oh, he's having problems shooting it though. I might add a minimum range to sentry guns so they don't try to shoot when the fact is that their barrel length is. Actually, I'm not going to fix that. That'll be an upgrade. I'll make an upgrade that'll be called Advanced AI Logic, and it'll recognize that it has a minimum range on the turret. Because right now, I'm pretending that the turrets have stupid logic, which means the only thing they can do is identify that there is a target in front of them and identify if it's friendly or foe. That's the only two options it actually has available. It doesn't even have a proper targeting sensor because what's going to happen is as I work on the sentry guns more and more, I'm actually going to make some of the lower tech ones less and less accurate to encourage you guys to upgrade your turrets and to work on them and repair them. Turrets will get damaged over time. Barrels will wear out. These will be options you can turn off in the configs, of course. But that works good. So let's work on the smoke particles. Let's go ahead and close Minecraft down because I'm going to have to do this. And we want to make a new smoke particle, which we're going to do inside of VoltSengine. Because I'm more than likely going to reuse this smoke particle for ICBM. So we want to go to the core. And then we want to go to MC, Client, Effects, and then Providers. I'm going to copy laser beam, and we're just going to put it right there. So this will be provider smoke stream. And well, let's go here. I got to edit this up here. There's actually a bit of work on the laser actually still needs to have, and this date's probably wrong on here, but we're working on this today, so this is be the smoke stream. This will be 5:26, man. Where did the time go? I just noticed the whole month has disappeared already. So spawns a stream of smoke used for gun-like effects. So most of this is good. So we want to know the lifetime of the smoke stream. We want to know the color. So we want to know that. And then we got an FX beam, except I believe we actually do have an FX smoke. We have a rocket smoke trail. Let's dig through our effects. These are most likely going to be in probably libs actually, because I think it's where they end up by whatever logic they ended up as. Yeah, they were down in here. So we got beam, we got two different bolt classes. We got a bolt spawner, interparticle, rocket tail, rocket smoke trail, shockwave, and FX smoke. Now, I think FX smoke is literally the vanilla smoke particle. It's just designed to behave slightly different. I think it was used by the rockets in ICBM before I picked up Z-Master's code. He was so nice to let me use his fire trail and his smoke trail. Although I had to rewrite his smoke trail to fit my code because it didn't quite match up, and I had to do a couple other things with it. But we got some really cool stuff with it now. We do need to make the smoke trail pop out of the RPG round. So the RPG round is something we do need to fix today, is fixing the render on the RPG. But we want to get the smoke stream going first. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I'm going to leave this how it is for the moment. And we're going to call this smoke stream. I have a feeling like we worked on something in the Armory mod here a while ago that may have actually already covered this slightly. I'm going to open this up and Armory client effects. Oh yeah, this is Gunsmoke, so okay. We're going to move away from using this. We want to use smoke stream. And this is going to have to be programmed through the JSON system, so it's going to be a little bit of a pain to work on. What is our default color, by the way? So I want to do color.gray if that's possible. Because that will make if we can use a laser smoke or laser effect for the moment. What I'll have to do is I'll have to go get a texture for this. What are we using for a texture right at the moment? We don't have a texture, technically. So what we could just flat out do is take the gray texture and just apply a grain to it. Let me grab this folder and actually I wonder if I have a smoke effect in here somewhere. Nope, you just have a couple of gems. Okay, so we want to go to VoltSengine, source, main, resources, content, VoltSengine, assets. Oh, we're in the content folder. We're in the wrong folder. Okay, assets, VoltSengine, textures. We got a 40% gray texture, which is just an alpha transparent thing we use on a few things. We got Faded Spear, which I'm actually going to have to open up in GIMP to even look at it. Faded Spear is actually used by, I believe, the Shockwave. We might be able to use the noise picture. Because we got the Faded Spear. This is used by the original antimatters and Shockwaves in 1.5 ICBM. And we got noise. Yes, noise will work. And we got a laser one in here too. That's the original laser. That's actually the reason why lasers used to have that nice edge look to them. I may reuse the laser actually, but we're going to use noise. So, fuck spectrum. So I'm going to want to go and find the texture I want to use here, which means I'm going to have to go shared assets, and I'm going to have to register these assets. Oddly enough, when you register assets for this stuff, it's really simple. You're just telling, these are locations, by the way, hence why they're called locations. So you're not really registering with this, you're just telling the game where something's stored at. The game I'm working on has a very similar mentality to it, although not as sophisticated as Minecraft. Minecraft's got a whole texture map system. So this will be noise, texture, and this will be texture directory, and then we want to just grab that. And that's, I'm gonna throw that by the window. You guys don't need to see that all the time. So we'll grab that, then we'll duplicate this. We want a laser effect, and IntelliJ keeps glitching out on me. Let's see, laser, and then we'll grab Faded Spear. So we'll just make sure Faded Spear is in here. Now, on the subject of updating as well, one of the reasons that's going to be a pain in the butt to update is all of this goes away. This stuff doesn't exist in the newer version. So I've got so much code that relies on this, and I've got to get it updated before I even bother to update it. It's just going to take me so much longer to do the work. So putting this here, I'm actually kind of more or less wasting time, but that'll work. So it'll give us a Faded Spear and everything. This means I can go into the laser beam here, and I can actually use the laser for this. So we'll test this here in a second. But then we're going to go with our smoke stream, and I'm going to grab the noise texture, and then we'll do that. And where's our shockwave? Shockwave, shockwave, shockwave. You apparently have a manually set texture. Texture, texture. Okay, and then you need to use the Faded Spear. There we go. And we'll test all three of these. This is from the EMP. We'll have to test Classic, though, to test that, but that'd be a good thing to test. Actually, you know what? I forgot to register something. No, no. Turn. Die. There we go. So many code generators I have to run. So I got to register the effect for... No, I told you to stop. Okay, so effect provider. That's not... where is laser even registered at? Client proxy. There we go. So you got to register this or it won't show up. And then in order to test it, I have to go into... Actually, let me close a few of these first. I got to go into the actual sentry data here for the gun. So actually, we're in Armory mod. I don't want to be in there. I want to go down to Wojujo's mod here. And then gun, or nope, that's Gen. Gun, sentry, and sentry data here. There actually is a variable that tells me what particle effect to use when the gun fires. It's probably not in here. Okay, here's effect one. So round fired, and I believe we just need to set this to smoke screen. We don't even have to put something in front of it because it's we're treating it like it's a vanilla name. And that'll work. And we should see it start firing those. And actually, you know what? Hold on, I gotta kill it again. I screwed up on the naming here. It's gonna try to run again. Quit. Dead. Okay. So actually, I want to revert that back, and I need to make another copy of this. And there actually is a different version. There's what's called a ray trace version. And then I need to grab that, put this down here, and then I got to go find what the name of the ray trace is. So we fire at target. That's debug, and this we fire weapon. So there's a fired round, which we are already playing the effect for that. There's round eject, which we don't even have casings yet in the mod. But there's a do ray trace, and right here is what we're looking for. So we're looking for this line, and then that would go right down here. So there's a ray trace that gets fired, and then there's a particle effect that gets fired. And eventually I'm going to make a template, by the way, for those who actually want to make guns and stuff, and get a template showing you every audio effect and every graphical effect that gets fired from the weapons. And that way, if you want to make a weapon, all you got to do is copy the template and change the names. And then there will be an editor for this. There will be a downloadable editor, there will be an in-game editor, and there will be a web editor. And the in-game one is probably the one that's going to happen sooner than later. And then it'll be the out-of-game editor, and the web editor will be the last one. The reason we're going to do a web editor is we're going to let you guys store your gun data online so other people can download them. And you'll be able to generate a little bit of revenue off of it. So what we'll do is we'll do some kind of system like Curse has available. We have to definitely figure out how to do that. For a good while, what it'll probably be is we'll just let you host them for free. In return, we'll get some ad revenue for the site. So that'll be the exchange of it is that you can use our free hosting and building services and everything. And then we get like a penny or something every, it's basically a penny almost every 10,000 downloads is what we end up making. So it's really low. So don't go like, oh, you're making lots of money. No, we're not. We're going to make crap. Although we do plan to sell the technology used for it, so that's probably where we're going to make our money from. And when I'm talking about technology is the system we're going to be using to do that. So like the whole website and stuff we'll probably package and sell to other companies so they can do other things. We're not going to be selling the weapon creation system. We're going to sell the backend. The backend will be the display, the login, wizards and stuff, the integrated system, the download manager, stuff like that. I don't know what we're going to do with that precisely yet. That's something that we're planning for like 3 years down the road. So it probably won't happen anytime soon. And by the time we get there, maybe we'll figure out how we can profit off of it so we don't have to sell the technology. That way we can continue making mods for you guys for free. You can keep downloading stuff for free, and then maybe we'll be able to pull off something like Curse has and be able to help you guys get some revenue for making content. Because that's a really big thing. Is we've struggled to make money off of our content. We want to make sure if you guys are content creators, you guys also can make a little bit of money. Most likely what I'll end up probably doing is down the road I'll just partner with Curse. I'll let Curse do all this and just give you guys reward points. And be like, hey Curse, we'll let you put your ads on our site if you give people Curse points for their content. Hell, what we may end up doing is just we'll make the wizard, and the wizard will let you download something, and you just guys can go upload it to Curse. Actually, that's probably what we'll end up doing. That is the most easiest step possible. And then what we'll do is we'll ask Curse to add a section just for the armory mod to their site, and be like, hey, we want to be able to put like maybe a few thousand pieces of content on your site. Can you guys make us a section so people don't get confused? And then we'll tell them how to program it so it downloads the guns into the correct folder so you guys' content actually works. What the site will probably do though is it's going to package your thing like a jar mod, so you can just toss it into the mods folder. It'll work just fine. Okay, so let's check to see if we can use this. It can use the smokescreen particle effect. Hold on. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Failed to find effect data for etc. etc. Let me check what we called it here. Sentry. Okay. We got the naming wrong. Before we restart to check this here, let's go ahead and check some of the other things. So we want to do the laser turret real quick. The laser turret is going to need power, and unfortunately I cannot power it off that generator over there. I wish I could. But I didn't add it to the list of acceptable items. I lost track of where I was at. So here's the sentry here, and then we just got to grab a power cube. Grab my RF power cube. The irony is that the UE power cubes don't really work. RF ones work. It's The irony is somewhat palpable because the fact that I spent more time working on the RF stuff than I did work on my own power system. I need a blaze rod. Okay, it wasn't a blaze rod that does the infinite stuff? Maybe it was the... I know there's one of these that if I right click, oh, it's glowstone dust. That's what it is. So you click it, it turns to infinite power, and the render's not updating for whatever reason, but that should get powered. And it's searching for a target. So if I put a slime down, I should see it shoot the slime, and we should see the new texture. Oh, that rotation mechanic isn't fixed yet, and it beat it to the kill. Oh, yeah, we got the nice faded particle effect for lasers now. Looks like the rotations is a little thrown off on the laser turrets. We aren't going to fix that today. That's something I'm going to do when I work on the ICBeam Classic sentries by themselves. As I still got a lot of work to do on here to bring them up to their original glory, and so you guys get what you originally had. But yeah, that works. So that's a nice faded texture. Now the next thing we want to work on or test real quick is if I make sure to enable the mod is the ICBeam Classic EMP Tower. And it looks like I don't have that mod in my workspace. We'll have to test it later. So I'll go ahead and restart here. And while I restart, I'll go ahead and add it to my workspace, I guess. So yeah, we're testing the light client is what we're actually using. So we do modular dependency, and I want to grab ICBeam Classic. And hit apply. Hit OK. We fixed that name on the particle there, so that should work. So the naming convention is the name of the content. So the name of the content happens to be WJ Survival Mod Sentry, and then it's then the ID for the round. I completely forgot I had tea on my desk when I opened that soda here a few minutes ago. Or actually, that was like 40, 50 minutes ago. So this tea is like frozen cold. It's weird with Ohio weather. It's actually finally warming up outside, so it's about 80 degrees outside now. This morning it was like 52 degrees. That temperature shift is amazing. That tells you there's some fuckery going around with global warming, because usually the temperature shift between night and day here in Ohio is only like 10 degrees maybe, not like 30 degrees. Although somebody's going to argue with me here later and be like, oh, but that's global cooling. It's like, well, you have no idea how global warming works then. Because the ideal of global warming is that you're trapping heat in the atmosphere. It does not mean you're going to not get cold points. It just means your hot points are going to be higher than normal. It means you're going to have more energy in the atmosphere than you previously did. Although who knows? Maybe we'll have like a day after tomorrow thing. If you guys are familiar with that movie, where they warn about global warming and then all of a sudden like the world gets fucked up and then it ices over as a safety mechanism. Yeah, I'm still betting that if we don't fix global warming, that's what's going to happen. We're going to trigger such a horrible, catastrophic series of events that the whole planet will ice over. You got to imagine that the planet does have a mechanism built into it to deal with hot periods of time. Because the planet has heated up really, really hot before, and it cools down all the same, and it gets back to normal. Although in the process of doing that, I think it just kills off a whole bunch of stuff. Because the number one cause of global warming is carbon dioxide and methane. The two sources of those is living creatures. If you kill off living creatures, then you're going to get an abundance of oxygen. Oxygen is then going to cool down the planet, and it's going to get really, really, really cold. And of course, the cooling is going to kill the plants off, which then will stabilize, and then you'll get back to a period of warmth again, or some kind of thing like that. I haven't actually done any research on this, so don't take my word for it, but it sounds logical. It'd make for a cool plot twist on a game or something. That's one of the main reasons I've been thinking of it. I keep thinking of trying to like different things I can make games into. Right now, the only game we're working on is that top-down, and we're going to work on that one. And I think we might sidestep and work on a shooter mech game real quick, because the engine I've been building actually will support something like that. Anyways, I need to... Why do I keep throwing these slime makes back in my creative tab? I should probably keep these out. Still didn't see the smoke trail. It does act like it triggered it. So let's make sure we can see the console here. I think I saw, yep, I saw something there. Okay. If you watch really lightly, you can see it. It's unintentional how that works, but you get that nice burst of white for just a momentary second. It's actually kind of cool. I'm not going to fix that. That's actually really cool. That's an unintentional thing, but it's really cool. Now I just need to up the smoke particles. You know how we got that flame and smoke going out the front? I need to kind of work on that. I'm probably just going to ditch the fire effect off of it and go with just smoke here in a bit. That's something I'm going to work on later. But having that little burst of white light there, that's like an unintentional indicator that a round fired. It's not perfectly lined up, as you can tell. It's firing slightly below the barrel. And it should be firing on the top cylinder here, but that's some trigonometry I got to work on to fix that positioning. But we're good with that. So what else was on the list? Oh yeah. We got to do the rendering for the RPG round. That isn't going to take much time. So let's go ahead and kill Minecraft off so I'm not wasting CPU in the background, and so I can hear my computer start to rev up. You guys probably can't hear it because the noise filtration on OBS is doing its job really well. It's not perfect, but I have been listening to a few of these videos after I recorded them. I noticed there's very little background noise when the reality of it is there's some pretty good amount of background noise. I got like a washer dryer running. I can hear the dishwasher running. I got a fan literally sitting next to my head keeping my computer from overheating. I gotta buy a new computer, but problem is I can't afford it. This one's about to die. So there's a high likelihood if this dies, I'm probably going to go back to a laptop and you can watch updates slow down even further. I apologize for it, but I'll figure out some way to get around it. I have a couple spare computers here that I can probably fix up. But let's see. So we want the RPG round to actually render. Do we have a render for it? We have... I think we have it right here. So here's our render. Except we accidentally marked it as an item render. So this needs to be a model. That's probably why it's not working. So let's go ahead and launch it up and see if that was the case. And I'd be happy if it is, because that'll win this video right off on a perfect time. If it's not, we're going to have to take a look at the projectile, as it could be the render code and the projectile failed. Hopefully here, when I get the updates done, we can play a lot more with these renders and stuff, because I want to do things like mortars. I don't think there's another mod out there that has mortars and catapults and stuff in it, and that would just be so fun to sit there and play around with them. And I know somebody's going to remind me, yeah, there's been mods that have had those. Yeah, there's Ancient Warfare had some catapults in the original version. I get reminded by my buddy Grogger all the time because he loves that mod. I know there's some really old catapult mods that have existed. I've seen some of them in the past. I haven't seen any modern ones. I know Flans has some artillery pieces, but they're not really true artillery pieces. They're oversized bows and arrows that fire TNT basically, because I've played around with them. I used to enjoy Flans mod, but that mod has so much potential to improve, and I haven't seen the improvement in it. A lot of its wheel physics are really broken. I don't know, somebody's going to have to tell me if they've ever actually, the newer versions of Minecraft, fixed any of that stuff, because I've still played with the 1.7 version. My luck is that he updated and his newer versions are actually pretty good, but I haven't been following his mod at all. I used to sort of talk to him every so often. That's the same as me saying I talk to Lex. Is like, you can talk to those kind of people and then you don't really get much out of it. Like half my conversation with Lex are just like poke him at him like every couple months and be like, hey, I've got this problem and I need your expertise. And after he calls me retarded a couple times, we'll talk. And actually, to be honest, he hasn't called me stupid in a long time. That was just a few first conversations with him, because to be honest, the bugs and stuff I was poking at him about were almost Java 101 level mistakes, and I didn't realize I was making them until afterwards, because my understanding of programming language is almost entirely experience based. I do have college expertise when it comes to programming, but that's only like a small percentage of my understanding. And because of that, I make some really easy mistakes every so often because I don't have that expertise knowledge that comes from actually reading about programming and actually learning about stuff like that. I get all my stuff from experience. Like this JSON system is built entirely off of my understanding of how to build XML, and it's built off of experimentation I was doing back in when I was working with the Universal Electricity team to build code that ran without needing to be, or created content that didn't need code. And I worked with Max before that, and me and him would go back and forth and work on that. He did a JSON system, and I kind of watched what he did, and I figured out how to do it. That was unintentional. By the way, the reason why you're seeing two boxes here is I think I figured it out, is there's a client-side version and there's a server-side version. The server-side version usually is the smaller one. And that looks fine. Okay, so we wanted to test RPG rounds. So let's go ahead and grab this and that. And I'll probably do for those who like wanted me to continue that story of me talking about my experience, one of these days I'll do a video completely just talking about my experience and how I've learned how to do this stuff. And it'll probably be a pre-video into doing a tutorial series. Dude, look at that. That's so cool. And it just shut it down. Oh, that is awesome. I just need to add some smoke trail to it, and we're gold. I'll do the smoke trail myself on a separate video here, or actually, I'll probably just do it and I'll show you guys what it looks like, because that'll be me programming a lot of backend stuff. But I'll be back with another video here, and we'll get into debugging ICBM and everything else.